We've all seen it. We've watched parents juggle multiple responsibilities for generations. My mom did it, your mom did it, and her mom before that. It's just something we've always done without much discussion. But isn't that part of the problem? How is juggling parenting, paid work, running a household, and so much more not a bigger deal? It's like having three jobs rolled into one with a never ending stream of decisions to make every single day. Especially now, in this age of high expectations and information overload, where everything is just a click away. This work is so often unsupported, underappreciated, and completely unrecognized. We take it for granted both within ourselves and among us. This year, I'm juggling a fair bit myself. I'm pregnant with my second child, trying my best to be present for my sweet toddler, managing our household, working full time, and producing season 2 of my podcast, Bump In. I started Bump In mostly for myself. In season 1, I've had the chance to speak with some incredible parents about their early parenting journeys and have learned so much. I hope you have too. This season, I'm celebrating all things juggling, the many aspects of being an adult and parenting shared straight from parents. We'll also dive into the support systems, or a lack of them, that shape our experiences and explore ways to better support ourselves, our families, communities, and workplaces. Join me for some fascinating conversations available on Spotify and YouTube in season 2 of Bump In with me, your host, Shruti Bharat.
Hi Disha, welcome to my podcast Bump In. Thank you so much for making the time on Saturday afternoon to speak with me. As you know, just a little bit about why we're here and what we're going to talk about. This podcast Bump In is an attempt to have more conversations around the early parenting phase. While I understand you're a little bit down the road, I still think the wisdom of your experience is very, very important to this conversation. So, in season one, I focused a lot on the 0 to 12 month journey, right? The changes in identity, the shifts in relationship, just everything that was happening to the parent that somehow gets lost in the logistics conversation. But this season, and we wanted to really talk about what is the fabric of support that exists for parents, particularly women and mothers, because let's call a spade a spade. It's an interesting and unique journey that we're kind of going through. And I have the privilege of actually speaking about it in some sense. I bring to it an Indian flavor, largely urban, mostly sort of representing the millennial generation in a sense. And your LinkedIn work really stood out for me and called to me when I looked you up and kind of stopped you a little bit to understand, hey, what are you talking about? And you seem to be also quite passionate about this subject. So, what we want to do in season two is to address a bunch of things which I'll get into. But before I get ahead of myself, I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about your story, professional, personal, where you are in the world, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thanks, Shruti, first of all, to stop me. And because I feel that it is very important to support each other. In fact, women supporting women is the jhanda that I always carry forever. So, as you rightly mentioned, that I am a little away from, not little, a lot away from early parenting. But there are a lot of learnings that I have taken through it. In my professional front, I'll start if you ask me my professional personal where I am. So professionally now I work as independent consultant for nonprofits as well as startups for strategic business planning and communications, kind of growing the organization. I feel growth is a bottom line for all mothers. So we know how to grow, how to nurture. So that is one professionally. We'll talk more as we proceed in the conversation that what does this professional thing mean at this stage. Personally, I'm now single mother of 4 kids. And when I say four, it's like two human babies and two fur babies that I have. My boys are 19 and 15 years old, and very difficult age to tackle with them. Very many a times mentally agonizing, very traumatic. I mean, it is not flowery like a kindergarten where you can really hold and cuddle and give them a chocolate or give a give a peck on a cheek and they're like, oh mama, mama, all done. No, I rarely see my elder son. Our timings don't match. So whenever I see him in half an hour in a day, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing you now. So yes, that is where I'm personally. I'm Bombay based, and that is all.
Thank you, Disha. What an interesting background overall. And I also noted that you are a runner, so I definitely want to ask more about that. I myself have a 3-year-old, and I have another baby on the way. I'm close to about 32 weeks pregnant, so a little bit. I feel almost emotional to hear that our relationship is going to change so much as the years progress. And I remember being a teenager, and I remember not making it particularly easy on my parents. I think it's a rite of passage. What are you going to do? Okay, so Disha, on that note, I was sharing with you that this conversation is really to draw on your both personal and professional experiences in shining a light on a very interesting issue. So I'll tell you a little bit more about it. I think a few months ago was just sort of paying attention to my LinkedIn feed and was looking at, of course, there's a lot of superlatives and maybe over celebrating certain achievements with all due respect. But there's so little in terms of women saying, hey, I made it through a year of juggling 5 different things, caring for children, caring for your household, etc., etc. This is such silent, uncelebrated work, and it's generational. I think I've seen my mother not even give herself credit for the work that she's done because she wasn't economically contributing to the household, right? So, really, for me, especially given the life stage I'm in right now, really stood out for me as saying, why are we not making space for this? Why is this not a feather in our cap? It's also exposed another part of the conversation for me, which is to say, is there enough, not just respect, but is there enough support for moms, specifically mothers? And I keep coming back to mothers in the organizations, in society, and in general, especially among those of us who are empowered enough to even have this conversation. And where are we missing opportunities to support better? Right? So, this entire season really shines a light on this somewhat contentious, controversial topic. I also say this knowing one thing, and I bet you've seen this too, is there seem to be so many women who seem to be doing just fine without asking these questions. They seem to have it all worked out. They go operate in the world like it's no big deal. So I ask myself, hey, why am I such a sensitive, emotional person? Why is this affecting me so much? And I find myself sometimes even feeling a little bit like, am I making a big deal out of nothing? So I think we'll start there, and I'm gonna start my this season with the signature question that I had a different one in the previous season. You've juggled a lot. Clearly, you did share as well, and thank you for doing that. That you're a single parent with 4 dependents, which I believe can't be easy. So please tell us, what has juggling meant to you as a mother and woman?
I actually don't go by the word juggling. Uh, I always say that, being a management person and making those strategies and learn making dabbas and all. So somehow those management thing comes into practice also. It's all about creating your priority matrix. And the funny part is that when you create the priority matrix, everything is on high priority. Everything. Be it your health, your mental balance, your career, your kids' board exam, your my adult teens confusion in life, my dog's vaccination, paying the bills in time. Everything is top priority. So when I started creating this priority matrix, and this came to me all of a sudden because in April 2023, my husband after being together for almost 18 years, uh, he decided to leave. So he packed his bags and he moved out. I was under the impression, okay, I mean, things don't work out between couples. It's okay. I mean, there's no point strangulating each other and being there. If it can be peace, staying separately, it's fine. But we have a common gateway, the children. So that we will work it out together. But things took a U-turn completely. And I have been a housewife for a very long time. Took a career break for a long time. And when you started this conversation, you mentioned that your mother doesn't even take the credit of what she's doing because the social conditioning is so strong. So I come from a very, very strong social conditioning. So, constantly hearing from mom that it is mother's duty to do this, it's the wife's duty to do this, etc., everything. So I was coming from that background. So I never took any heed towards building a great career or being the main earning member of the family. I was always doing the background work. Everything. Husband goes to job. I was working little bit, but everything at the back end was managed by me. Every little thing. But this came all of a sudden. And when it came, the little bit teeny weeny job that I had, that also went away in layoff. And I was blank. Blank as in, I had no idea what to do. And everybody was bashing on me because somehow anything that happens bad in the household is the woman, right? The children not performing well, mama paying a lot of attention, a job, other work, not giving attention to children. Relationship issues is a woman's job to take care. So I was like, hello, I will take care of all these things later, but house rent has to be paid. Children's school fees have to be paid. I mean, you can bash me, entire family can bash me, I'm fine. But what happens to finances? So again, my priority matrix, I had to keep a lot of things on priority, keep everything aside. Whosoever is abusing me of the fiasco that has happened, the husband went away, I'm not pleasing my husband to come back, I'm not begging, I'm not asking, it's your ego, it's your pride. I was like, everything aside, man, the school fees has to go in a week. How do I do that? So it was not juggling, it was keeping one on top of the other, the priority. In the same process, how do I manage my mental peace? At one point, my children are constantly seeing the long phone calls that are coming to me. On the other side, my family members are bashing me and mama is crying. It went on for 6 months. I was like, enough. What is it that I'm bringing in a family? Because I always believe that women are the creators and the house energy circulates around us. What we bring as the energy, it percolates in the entire family. So same way, I'm like, bring back, compose yourself. It is important at right now. Priority. So school fees, yes, but mental peace again went on a top priority. So one by one, and then I wanted a job immediately. I wanted project. I wanted to pay the fees. I wanted to pay the bills. I never wanted my children to get into the deprivation mode. That feeling is very bad that we can't. So whatever the household was running, whatever little lifestyle they have, whatever the kind of food they are eating, everything should be same. Whatever school they are going, whatever tuitions they are going, everything should be the same. I cannot cut down on the school ki you go and study in some other school, so mama can't pay. So again, it's priority. So I believe, be it in a case of extreme or not extreme, all mothers, be it working, not working, because not working women, housewives, are said that you are not working. But it's a huge work they are doing. Huge. Every time it is priority. And we have to, like, I keep reshuffling my priorities on everyday basis. Like, what now? What next? So yes, that answers your question.
Disha, thank you, first of all, for being so open and so vulnerable about your situation. I really appreciate it. I mean, it is very recent. April 2023 feels like yesterday. I mean, my heart is with you in this conversation. Please know that. And thank you for sharing such personal details as well. I can't even begin to relate and imagine your story. And I'm really happy to see where you've come, where you are right now. So this is clearly a success story and something that you'll continue to build and work on. And I think I can fully relate to what you're talking about in terms of it's a constant reprioritization. I think beautifully put. With your experience very, very close to you, just want to embark on the next part of this conversation, right? Which is clearly you've seen all sides of this. You've been a stay at home mom, and as you rightly said, this is a job that is so underrated and so undervalued. It deserves its own conversation, right? And would love to understand what had been your experience of it and where you think more support can be brought in for stay at home moms as well. But from your entire life experience so far, juggling and prioritizing what you are at this moment, what do we need to start doing better at a family level? Or what do you see as gaps at a family level to provide adequate support for women? What has been your experience? And we'll start at the self and family before we go any further into organizations and society, which is a much bigger topic.
Oh, that will come much later. I always say, for a new mother, it is such a shift. You have given birth to a life from your life. So one part is that is biological mother. There are several who adopt as well, and not a biological one, but you have adopted somebody, and a new person has come to your family. Both ways, there is a lot of shift that happens in a woman's life, not a mother's life, woman's life. You are battling your emotions, you are battling your hormones on everyday level. It's going up and down. You are all over the place. The kid is sucking on you. The breastfeeding is a horrible experience, no matter how beautiful it comes up. It's a feeling from the mother. God, I remember my nipples used to bleed, and it is so tough to feed a child. And so, it is very important to ask a mother and not demand. Similarly, it is also important to give her and don't question her. So if we understand these two things, do not say this, ये तो सबके साथ होता है. No, it doesn't. Because when you go to a doctor is seeing 100 patients in a day, but you are going and seeing one doctor in a day. So there's a lot of difference. So do not say to any mom, ये तो सबके साथ होता है. That is her experience of having that child for the first time. So it is so important. The ecosystem has to come in place. Ecosystem chodo. I believe now with my experience, if both the parents do not agree beforehand that who is going to take what responsibility and what is coming my way, do not give birth to a child. Do not get into parenthood at all. Very important to have that bottom line. There's a certain age, shadi kar lo. Nobody knows what shadi is. There's a certain age, bachcha kar lo. Nobody knows what parenting is. Parenting is not just mother's job or a father's job. Parent itself says two. And it requires two people to give birth to one. So it is equal responsibility for both. Ecosystem in society will come afterwards. But if the parents are not together, parents do not understand that what huge responsibility we have here, it is not going to work at all. In my experience, my elder son uh, was very difficult to manage right from the time he was born to feeding him, then being a hyper child, very naughty child, etc. So I was always exhausted. I was always hyper. And I also went through massive postpartum depression in the first one, and second one was huge. I mean, I also tried to commit suicide till that level. And when I used to talk to my immediate family, it never came as a concern. It was, "ये तो सबके साथ होता है." I was like, but it is happening to me. I'm not able to understand why this is happening, why I'm getting so angry, why I'm getting so agitated. The forgetting things, keeping the car window open, leaving the car keys outside the house. It happened in my first child's case that I was driving and he was in the baby car seat behind in the rear seat, and I forgot. I drove to a place and I'm looking for him everywhere. I couldn't find him. I drove the car back home, and when he cried, I realized that he's in the car. So, because you are constantly juggling, thinking, battling, so your partner's support is extremely important. Then society ecosystem definitely comes. But this is what my experience is, and this is what I see around as well.
Again, so powerful and vulnerable share, Disha. I think that you're absolutely right. Get diminished, experiences get diminished because people say, what's the big deal? We've done it before. I've done it. I had 2 children. I had 5 children. I had 10 children. And somehow your experience as a unique individual in this world is completely diminished in the aggregate or in the macro. And you're absolutely right. Your unique experience of who you are is yours for the first time, right? And it's not, first of all, diminishing it itself is so damaging. Not to mention the very real changes that are actually happening that are so unknown to people. The hormonal changes, the physical changes, the genuine difficulty, the exhaustion. All of this is not to be underestimated. And I think you're absolutely right. Having a partner, even a few extended family members who might help you, who actually understand this and can bring that empathy, is actually asking for a lot. I think we're only now starting to see more of, I think, equal parenting. I think I was raised by a generation where equal parenting was not the norm at all. I think my parents definitely divided and conquered and didn't share the load in that sense. But I think it's getting a lot better with my generation and more, where there's at least a far more intent to be participative and be there and all of that. But there's still a long way to go. I know there's a long way to go to create a more enabling environment for a woman and a mother at home. How did you get through some of this, and what pulled you out of some of the overall depression and things that you were dealing with at that time? What support did you seek out?
So I had no support at all. My parents, they were busy in their stuff, and because I married out of the caste as well, so a few habits were not was not something that they were comfortable with. So that is how they never came to the house or be there, etc. and all, which is okay. I mean, I'm fine with it now. My in-laws were very clear that we have raised our children and now you do yours. So we are not there. My husband, then it was always like, you have become a parent, but you don't know what parenting is. You have become a father, but you actually don't know how to contribute as a father. So it was very tough time, first with the elder one and the second one coming in. A lot of, because back end stuff has to be managed completely. Cooking, packing the tiffin, maids and all help came at a much later stage. And even then I was like, you have three maids coming at home and then also you're exhausted all the time. So kind of those things, घर पे रह के करती ही क्या हो kind of stuff. So that understanding was definitely not there, and I wasn't working. I could not work, moreover, because my elder son didn't allow. I tried several times, but he couldn't get adjusted in the daycare or in different schools and all. So I had to be there for him. Somebody has to be there. So that is how I wasn't working at home. But when this episode happened where I tried to, commit suicide, now when I talk, I think it's around easily 15 odd years back, I guess. Not 15, if maybe 13 odd years back or something. I don't have a memory of it. Sometimes I feel, am I making a story or did it really happen? So, that frame of mind where you don't know what is happening around. So many times I think about it. I said, did this episode really happen or was it my thought? Was it I dreaming? So I have absolutely no idea. It's like blank. But it was an eye opener, absolute eye opener, that something is wrong and things have to come in place. This will not work. Again, I very well knew I don't have any support system. That time, mental health wasn't talked so much about, no counselor, this, that, nothing. And I was so engrossed in my children, I really didn't have time to think about all these things. Whom to talk to also, consult also, no idea. And again, it was like, ये तो सबके साथ होता है, ये तो normal है. So I was like, now what, Disha? I mean, this really hit hard. What to do? And I am a very active person, and my basic nature is being happy. So whatever calamity comes, my basic nature comes forward after a while to be happy and a people's person. So I was like, I need to divert my energy somewhere, need to do something. Dance is something I really like. I have been a great dancer in my college days, etc. and all. So I joined Shamak Baba's dance classes close by. Secondly, I used to take my children. I have my pictures also, because somebody has who will take care of them. So I used to grab both of them, and they are sitting at one place, and Mama is dancing, and then I come back taking them. Second thing what I did was there was a running group in my society. So I said I'll join. And I was around 74, 76 kgs that time. Very heavy mother. And that is also one thing, when taking back to your first question, that we face so many changes. Like when I saw myself in the mirror for the first time after 30 odd days of my delivery of the first child, I was 86 and 84 kgs in both my deliveries. And when I saw myself for the first time, I was shocked. I was like, this is not me. Everything is sagging down. I had stretch marks all over my body because, I had edema, the tummy has swollen up, and it went down like a flap. And I could actually hold my tummy and flap it. So that is also one thing. It comes as a shock. I mean, just a few months back, you were like this nice, beautiful, petite frame and flawless skin and firm body. What has happened? So that was also one thing, that when I started running, I was just heavy. I couldn't even run 50 meters, huffing, puffing. But it was nice because I used to move out of the house early in the morning, 5:30 types, when children were still sleeping, come back by 7, and then get into the house chores and all. So these were the two things that I started. I also then got a house help for a few hours to help me out, and if I can have a little nap in the afternoon so that I can breathe in between timings. So, yeah, this is what I navigated on my own.
What a story, Disha. Really interesting. Pulling yourself out of really a bottom in some sense, right? Sounds incredible. I'm actually at a loss for words because just hearing your story has really touched me. I'm so glad you found both these things, however small they might have been at that time. And I think your story of not having the type of support that you would ideally need is a reality for many people. So I think it is very, very close to a lot of people's stories. As a stay-at-home mom at that time, where you were financially dependent, and now moving to a stage where you're, I'm sure, far more financially independent, what were how did you support yourself, and how have other maybe friends or your community supported you in that transition, to getting to where you are today? What has that been like for you from an experience standpoint?
Community support. Um, I think the only community that supported me was my running community and my athletics community. That is all. I always also say that my children supported me like anything. And, because I was very clear from that transition to the recent transition that don't preach, practice. So when parents send children to summer camps, summer classes, this, that, I'm like, not needed. You do. Let children be at home. They will learn and understand everything. Another thing is, I'm a very strong headed person. So it also adds to my personality that if you can use the word stubborn kind of a thing, I don't let things get on to me very easily. So I'm a big Avenger fan. My younger son is an Avenger fan. And we watch a lot of Spider-Man, Batman, Doctor Strange movie, etc. and all. I love Doctor Strange movie. I watch it almost once a month. It's a practice for many, many years. There's a scene in Doctor Strange, the concluding scene, wherein Doctor Strange is fighting with a black dimension called as Dormammu, and Dormammu is coming back again and again to take over the current Earth or the current dimension. Doctor Strange says, "I'll go and fight with Dormammu." Everybody's like, "Have you gone mad? I mean, he's going to skew up, take you away." Then no, I'll go and fight. And with all his cape and all shoo sha, he goes to the universe, some other dimension, and he's standing and he says to Dormammu, "Hey Dormammu, I have come to bargain." And Dormammu says, "You know that you can't bargain with me and you will die." He cuts him off. He goes on again and again and again, multiple times until Dormammu gives up. And he says, "Okay." And the black dimension shuts and the earth is free forever. That thing stuck in my head like anything. I said, I have to fight back from the universe. I'll not give in so easily. You have given me calamity. I'm fine. I accept it. Now take it back. Come what may. And here are my children and here is me. Just take it back. And I fight with universe every day. And now, of course, with the current scenario, definitely I fight. But coming from a background where I have been a domesticated housewife, coming from a social conditioning that pati, bacha, ghar, in that sequence, uske baad tum bacho na bacho, doesn't matter. So from that transition to this transition, where I run my household in Bombay 100% on my own, and in this process, I did not ask a single penny from anyone. Anyone. I pay the house rent on my own, my Bombay house rent and children fees, everything on my own. I feel that in your life journey, it teaches you a lot, and somehow universe was preparing me. I could see it coming. Somehow I could see it coming. I started my career at the age of 40. I'm now 45. So from that to this, and every day I learn, every day I grow, every day I fight. And I really fight with universe that you cannot take it over me at all. I'll not let it happen. That's all.
My mom often tells me, and I think it's become my internal talk as well, that I guess you kind of only get the lessons that you need to learn, and you're only given challenges that you're ready to face in some sense. So, Disha, it sounds like you are incredibly strong. You may have labeled it as stubborn or headstrong in some sense, but I think what I'm taking away in this part of the conversation is just what a strong individual you are, right? And how you faced up to the multiple challenges that you face. And I think you have everything to be proud of in terms of standing where you are today and being so self-sufficient and independent. I think I do definitely feel for you when I see that it's really only strangers in some sense who have been your best community, and of course your lovely children. But I guess that is the reality in which many women operate. Disha, I like how you said that you kind of started your career at 40, and that's such an interesting point as well. What was that start like, given where you were? And did you have enough opportunities for you? And how did your transition to work, paid work, you were working all the while, feel like at that point? And how do you feel about it now?
Uh, so see, when I was studying also, no, I did not have in mind, career was never in mind, or a career oriented female who is going to be financially independent, nothing in mind. Because again, coming from a family wherein लड़का अच्छा कमाता है, इससे शादी हो जानी चाहिए. It doesn't matter आप कितना कमाते हो, right? It doesn't matter that the girl has a house on her name or not, or how much bank balance you have in your account. I came from that background completely, right? And then Now, career, job, etc. was never in the purview as well at all. I wanted to work. My basic instinct was very entrepreneurship, always, all the time. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. Gemini also all over the place and scattered mindset. That is how I am. I can do thousand things in one go and I'll be good at everything. So that is also a big problem with Geminis. They think they are good at everything, and which we actually are. I mean, we do it. But then you have to focus somewhere, right? There was no focus at all because life is going on. But when things started going south completely, and there came a point wherein, for housewife, husbands generally pay a kind of token money into the bank account to run the house and all. So my husband stopped that. And I was like, dude, how do I manage now? He was like, no, I give you the money and nothing more than this. Whatever issue it was, but it always bottled down to money forever. So I was like, okay, now what? So then I started looking out for little tiny work here and there, kind of a stuff. But in this process, I also realized that I have to work on myself, be it my professional growth or my personal growth. Because I feel if you are personally fine, you will do professionally fine. Absolutely. If you are mentally strong, you're physically strong, you'll be able to do a lot of things better. So I went from athletics, I went to endurance athletics. So I started training like crazy. I started doing races like crazy. And that helped me in building up a lot of resilience, a lot of mental and physical strength. In this process, I also picked up a few courses. I honed my other skills, which were like lying somewhere hidden in bed box here and there. I picked all those out. Um, Networked with a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, started meeting them, participating in forums, summits, started writing. I wrote a book. I started blogging, everything what came my way. Again, as I said earlier, universe was preparing me for this. Very well preparing. Now I go back and see, I was like, Disha, if you would have not done this at the age of 44, coming from a housewife background, how would you have sustained in Bombay? It was impossible. That goes against my ethos. I will not ask. I will not beg at all. So I really worked myself, professional, personal front, everywhere. And that helped me in coming to a role from a housewife to a CEO of the organization, from someone who had no money in hand to someone who runs her own company. I run my digital marketing from someone who was asking for money and I pay salaries. So yeah, all these things.
I'm getting chills as you're talking because it's just so inspiring to hear what you're saying. Disha, it sounds like you built the fabric of support you needed in order to get to where you are today. So I guess I'm going to flip my question a little bit. Let's say you meet a woman in her late 20s or early 30s who is struggling, comes to work for you or wants to work for you. What are some of the things you might tell her to help herself in a similar situation? What would you advise in terms of picking up and kind of making the right choices personally, professionally? What might you advise?
So I do get women. The firm that I run, I hire a lot of freelancers and I encourage a lot of back to work mothers because I have been into that space. I said 10,000 रुपए कमाओ महीने के लेकिन अपने कमाओ. Do that. So I encourage a lot of women. I'll share a few examples with you so you'll have a little context as well. Few of them, I mean, all those who come, I always tell them, do you want to work? Do you want to earn? Or are you just doing this for a time pass? So if the answer is no, I'm trying, no, I'll see how this works, I actually understand they don't have the intention to work. So if you really want to work, you will make things happen. I always say this that if you want to do something, you will make it happen. And if not, you will have 1,001 reasons. My children are young. I don't have a support system. I'm not mentally up there. I'm not physically fit. I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with this, etc. There will be thousand and one reasons which are valid, definitely valid. I respect it. But if you want to work, you will make it happen. So if, for example, I have this female who comes up and says, now my children are grown up and I want to work. Great, come work with me. But you're not giving me salary. You're coming back 15 years of work gap. Learn. Learn first. Hone your skills. Work on it and then demand. When you have that capability, go and demand in the market and you will get it. So any mother who is like 20, 30-year-old living in a setup with a nuclear family, partner is not supportive. I'm taking all negative examples, okay, which doesn't go fine. Children are very young, unable to manage their daycare timing and office timing, etc. and all. First, very important thing, are you the equal 50% earning member of your family? If yes, then invest in a daycare because that initial phase of child is very, very important. Your parents are not coming, your friends are not coming, your family is not coming, nobody is coming. You are there. Number one, very important, invest in a daycare. Daycares are expensive, I understand, but it is very important for your child that will help you to grow in your career later on, give you a little mental peace. If you can have a daycare which is in your housing society, so that there are people around of same age category parents where you can gel with. You guys can look up to each other. That is very, if in case you are getting late, somebody can pick up your child, if not 7, 6 o'clock, take him or her home. Home is home, daycare is daycare. I never send my children to daycare because I couldn't. So if somebody can do that, do that. Secondly, prepare your mind that you have to work and your child will be in daycare and he or she will be okay. Because if you go with the baggage, you can't work. You're constantly thinking, you're constantly on the phone, you're constantly checking, you're constantly questioning, is my child fine? And then you will be bothering the daycare people also. So separate your thoughts completely. Third, very important, sit with your partner and talk. That this is where we are, and I'm the 50% contributor to the family. We have to come together. Somehow juggle your timings. Somehow do that 2 days he comes early and 4 days you leave late. Something. Make some arrangement within you. And if that is also not working, go back to the first 2 pointers. Invest in a daycare and just leave your thought.
I can relate to everything you shared because I've made a lot of these decisions in the last 3 years
I'm
in
very
terms of
sure.
how to take care of my child. And I've gone back to work, after having my son. And now this time around with my second one due, I've decided to take a slightly longer break with the full intention of coming back. So I get that. I think it is very much a mental conviction, right? Saying you won't compromise all parts of yourself for one part of yourself, right? It's an important decision to make. And of course, I mean, thankfully, I do have support in place in the form of different people in my life. So I do thank my blessings there for sure. Disha, this has been such an illuminating conversation. I had a lot of questions in mind, but the vulnerability with which you kind of shared your own personal story makes the questions not seem as important anymore. I think if I had to leave you with one last question for this discussion, and I hope to talk to you many times in the future as well, is if I think we heard about what you can do at a personal level, and I think you also talked about how much physical activity played a big role in building your resilience and endurance. Assuming people have some support, assuming people have something in the form of support and family and and things like that, what do you think are some of the important boundaries or some of the important conversations to have at a family level or at an organization level, assuming people are continuing work and kind of more, I'd say, more normal pathways in that sense? Is there any thoughts you have around some of that, some advice around that, for how to mobilize support within family, how to advocate for yourself in the workplace? Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, so these are two different questions that we are talking. One is the family front and the professional front. So family and professional, I always say stand up for yourself. Talk for yourself, nobody else is going to do that. And have that courage that I will win, come what may. So at the family front also, assuming you have support system, your partner is also equally supportive, etc. and all. But as a woman, we are always surrounded by thoughts, over thoughts, and over thoughts. We just keep thinking all the time. It doesn't end. I haven't come across any woman who says that, oh, I am at peace. We are never at peace. We are always thinking. So, if that is the case and we do that, have time for yourself. So important. So, like for me, my running is my time, my swimming, my cycling is my time. I like it. I also have made this habit that I'm going to read 10 pages in a day, come what may. So something of that types is very important. And few people gain pleasure in doing parties with friends, going out, this, that, anything, whatever works. But I would also say always have a solitude time. That helps a lot because when you are in a group, it's great to be in a group, but then your thoughts are not your thoughts. You are surrounded by a lot of people. That solitude time is very important. Just go and sit in a cafe. I also go and sit at stations because I'm a storyteller and I grab a lot of stories from there. I like observing people. I sit at Marine Drive and observe people. I go in the morning for my runs and I see people around. Walk in the garden. Nature plays a very, very big role, very big role. So, on a personal front, mothers need to have, not me, solitude time. On the professional front, you don't have much choice because organizations, few of them allow flexi hours, few of them don't. And the kind of flexi hours that I have seen is we are allowing you flexi hours, but you come at 9 and leave at 5. That is not flexi hour kind of thing. So, if your profession allows, you are able to, you have a choice, look for organizations that give you a little bit of flexibility. Why I chose to work as a consultant and also I'm leading one of the startups right now, but it is 200% flexible. I work from home completely. I do not go to office at all. That allows me a lot of things that I can take care. Many people have told me that when you go for interviews, don't open up your cards, don't show your vulnerability. I said, no, I will. I say, I'm a single mother of 4 dependents, and this is what I want. You give me, otherwise, I'll look somewhere else. So have that confidence in you that, you will make things work. Generally, it happens that when you get sucked up into that organization which you are where you are not comfortable, it really drains out the entire energy. So, organizations can definitely look for giving a lot of flexi option for women. Pay out on the basis of deliverables and not timings. Hiring women on skill and not experience. I'm a back to work mother, and still, although I've been working constantly now for 8, 9 years, but still, I get this thing that you do not have MNC experience, you do not have X number of years experience. Arey, I have a life experience, man. Talk about that. So, to get more women also into the workforce, these are a few small things, but large things that organizations can really adopt.
Brilliantly said. I agree. I think be we need to wear the leadership skills we've acquired through our parenting and through our home life as actual skills in our resume. I think it's super important. Disha, I've had an excellent time hearing your story. Thank you so much for being so open and so vulnerable and very, very authentic, true to your personality. I can't thank you enough for sparing time to speak to me today. And I really wish you the best in your business. We're definitely going to stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shruti. All the best for all the upcoming seasons.
Thanks a
And all the
ton.
best for the second one as well. You're up.
Yes.
Bye.